Hi folks, Jamie from jrr Yoga here for your Wellness Wednesday practice. Start out your practice today in a child's pose. Your child's pose can have extended arms reaching out. Forehead can rest on the floor or on a folded blanket. Another option is to stack your hands or arms and allow your forehead to rest on that. Your big toes in child's pose are close together or even touching. Knees can be out wide or close together, whichever feels more comfortable in your body today. Take a moment here in your child's pose to connect with your breath without changing anything about it. After observing the breath, find a way toward a deeper, more full and even inhale and exhale. Just working your way through a breath that is more full, deep, and even. Big inhales and full exhales. Work your way up into a tabletop position, hands stacked under the shoulders or slightly forward of the shoulders, taking care that your wrists are feeling comfortable here. Moving through some cow and cat. Inhale, arch your spine, lift your hips and your chest into cow pose. Exhale, round your back, moving into cat, tucking chin, tucking pelvis. Inhale, back to cow. Exhale, into cat. Flow between these two poses at your own pace, letting your breath lead the movement. We'll do that 4 more times from where you're at right now. Come back into a neutral spine here. Moving into thread the needle pose, step your right hand a little closer to the right edge of the mat. Inhale, sweep the left hand up toward the ceiling. Exhale, thread it underneath the right. Head and shoulder come down toward the floor. Inhale, press your way back up. Sweep the left hand back toward the ceiling. And with an exhale, take the hand back to the floor. Now step your left hand a little closer to the left edge of the mat. Inhale, sweep the right arm toward the ceiling. Exhale, thread that right arm under the left. Head and shoulder come down to the mat. Inhale, press your way back up. Right hand sweeps toward the ceiling. With an exhale, take your right hand back to the ground. From here, find your way onto your stomach. Forehead rests on the mat. Toes point behind you. We're moving into a supported back bend. Inhale, lift head and chest, slide your hands forward and take your elbows to the ground into a Sphinx pose. Still working on finding length here in your spine. Nice and tall. Your gaze can be lower if you're protective of your neck today. It can be forward if that feels comfortable for you as well. Slide your hands back, lower your chest and forehead to the ground. Come up to tabletop position, hands and knees. From tabletop, come up to kneeling. As you're kneeling, knees are at least hip width apart, if not a little bit wider, for comfort and stability. You can always kneel on a blanket if your knees are feeling tender today. Start by taking your right leg out to the right. Right hand rests on the right leg. Inhale, left arm up and over into a side opener. And inhale, take that left hand all the way to the floor. Right hand reaches toward the ceiling. Gaze can be at the upward hand, forward, or down at the ground. Your choice. Inhale, find your way back upright to kneeling. Switch sides, left leg out to the left, left hand on the left leg. Inhale, right arm up and over into the side opener. And inhale, bring your right hand down to the floor, left hand up toward the ceiling, choosing your gaze up, forward, or down. Draw that arm and leg back in, come back up to kneeling. Take hands overhead, reach those fingertips up toward the ceiling. Bend the elbows into cactus arms. Draw your elbows back in, bring your chest up and forward. Tuck the chin a little to protect your neck. Finding an active upper back bend here. Bring the elbows forward, reach the fingertips back toward the ceiling, and take your hands down to the top of your mat. Actively press those hands into the mat. Find downward facing dog. You can find movement in your downward facing dog if you like, alternately bending the knees or lifting both heels at the same time and letting them sink back toward the ground. Or staying stationary here if you choose. Inhale forward into your version of plank. Shoulders are stacked over elbows. Knees can be on the ground or off the ground. Your choice. Move back to downward facing dog. Drop your knees to the floor. Sit back into child's pose. Again, arms can be extended out or arms can be stacked as a place to rest your forehead. Here from your child's pose, move briefly to tabletop. As you find your way back to your stomach, tops of the feet and forehead rest on the mat. Arms move along your sides, palms facing up. Working with half locust pose. Inhale, lift your head, lift your chest, lift your arms. Gaze is wherever it's comfortable for your neck. Lots of engagement through the abdomen and low back to find this lift here. Make sure to find your breath as you hold this pose. And exhale, chest and forehead back to the ground. Inhale, re-engage to that half locust pose, head and chest, arms lifting off the ground. And this time as you come down, bring those hands forward, one on top of the other. Forehead comes to rest on your hands. We're working with half locust pose now on the lower half of the body. Allow the forehead to rest on your hands. With your next inhale, lift both legs. lower leg and even knee come off the ground. Lots of engagement through the low back, abdomen, and glutes to find the lift here. With your exhale, bring those legs back down to rest on the floor. One more time, engage, lifting the lower legs. Feet, shins, and knees come off the ground. And exhale, take them back to the floor. We'll take just a moment here to soften the lower body, moving into a variation of alligator pose. Turn the knees and toes to point toward the outside edges of the mat. Continue to let your forehead rest on your hands. Connect with your breath here. Bring the legs back in, knees and toes point back down toward the ground. Bring your arms along your sides. Forehead comes to rest on the mat. We're moving into locust pose. With an inhale, engage, lift head, chest, arms, and legs from the ground. Lots of engagement through the midsection of the body to find that lift. And with an exhale, bring everything gently, slowly, and with control back down. Move now back up to tabletop. Take a breath or two here, and then settle back in to a child's pose. From child's pose, moving into a downward facing dog. Walk your feet towards your hands or your hands back towards your feet to half standing forward fold. Spine nice and long, nose points down toward the ground. And with an exhale, sink back in to standing forward fold. You can always give your knees a little extra bend here if you're feeling fairly tight through the back side of the legs. With an inhale, sweep those arms up all the way to standing, upward salute. Fingertips reach toward the ceiling. And take the hands down together to your heart. Step your right foot forward, send your left foot back, coming into Warrior Two, hips and shoulders open toward the long edge of the mat. Back heel plants into the ground. Bend that front knee. Arms come up and parallel to the ground. Gaze at the front fingertips here. Drop those arms, moving into a triangle pose. Straighten the front leg. Think about kind of tucking your right hip under your body. Left hip reaches then toward the ceiling. Take the arms back up, reach forward slightly, and take right hand down to the right leg, or a chair or a block, a stack of books. Left hand up toward the ceiling. Your gaze here can be at the floor, forward, or at your upward hand in a more challenging way. Now put a bend back in your front knee. Inhale, press back up to Warrior Two. Lower those arms. Switching sides by turning your both feet toward the long edge of the mat. Turn your left foot toward the back of the mat. Coming into your Warrior Two, bend that left knee, arms come up, and gaze at the front left fingertips. Moving into triangle pose, straighten that front leg, tuck the left hip under the body, right hip reaches toward the ceiling, reach forward, and take the left hand down to your leg or your prop, right hand up toward the ceiling, gaze wherever it's the most helpful for your balance and comfortable for your neck. Put a bend back in your front knee. Work your way back up to Warrior Two. Drop the arms. Step your feet together back up toward the top of your mat. From here, come down to the floor. Lying on your back, knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Take your right ankle over the left knee into a reclined pigeon pose. Take that right foot back down. Switch left ankle over right knee. Bring that left foot back down. Soles of the feet together now, knees out wide into reclined bound angle pose. Bring the knees back toward the ceiling, feet flat to the floor. Move into Shavasana here. Straighten those legs to allow them to be supported by the floor. Tuck something underneath your knees if that's more comfortable for your low back. As you settle in, take 4 full deep breaths to finish your practice. After that 4th exhale, move back up to seated. Find length in your spine, sit tall. Let your chin tuck towards your chest a tiny bit. Eyes come closed. Bring your hands together at your heart and bow forward to finish your practice. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.